This is your go-to podcast for everything water related in the heart of West Africa. Water is life, and in Ghana, the systems that bring this precious resource to our homes, businesses, and communities are at the core of our development. From sprawling urban networks to rural water initiatives, Ghana's water supply system is a complex yet fascinating web of infrastructure, policy, and innovation. But what really goes on behind the scenes? How does water travel from our rivers, reservoirs, and underground sources to the taps we rely on daily? And what challenges are shaping the future of clean, accessible water for all? Join us as we dive deep into Ghana's water supply systems, exploring successes, the gaps, and the exciting possibilities ahead. This is Hydrozone Ghana. Water available and safe.
All right, hello and welcome to our official podcast. And today we are going to talk about everything about water. And like you know, water is life. And we have two great and amazing hydrogeologists in Ghana doing amazing things in the water industry. And you would love to hear from them. Jay Moore, and then we have Mr. Eddie Annan today. So let's explore what they have for us. So right, you're welcome again.
Thank you.
And I hope you've drank some water.
Certainly.
You have. Well, I'm here to drink some water, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so can you briefly tell us, Jay Moore, about the water supply system we have in Ghana?
If we talk about systems, I will quickly think about the organizations and entities that supply water on either commercial or private basis to various parts of the country, either urban, peri-urban, or rural communities. So we know of Ghana Water Company. They have a mandate to supply water to the urban sectors in Ghana, big towns like Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi. And then we also have Community Water and Sanitation Agency with a mandate of supplying water to small towns and villages. So when we talk about small towns, areas like Suhum, areas like Adesu, they are not villages, but they are not also cities. Community water is responsible to provide water to such areas. And then the rural areas, like the villages that have less than 500 people, community water is still responsible. So these are the government systems or the official water supply systems in Ghana. There are also private entities that supply water either through tanker, either through sachet water, either through bottled water. They are private entities. And so I would say that if we think about water, these are the systems we can really talk about.
Yeah, so when we talk of the water systems in Ghana, then we are looking at probably the sources of water that we have in Ghana. So in Ghana here, we can look at three main of these water systems.
Okay.
That is the water system or the water basin. Then we have the southwestern basin. Then we have the coastal basins. So when we talk of the water basins, we are looking at the water lake and its tributaries. For instance, the black water, the white water, and then other small tributaries that come together to support the water lake. And also don't forget that the water lake that we have there, Akosombo Dam, that's the largest man-made lake in the world. So this forms part of the water basin. Then when we come to the southwestern basin, then we talk about the major rivers in Ghana. We talk of River Pra, we talk of River Ankobra, we talk of the other rivers in the southwestern part of Ghana. They form those ones. Then when you come to the coastal areas, these are the small ones, the small rivers, and then the lagoons, and then the streams that we have. But mind you, all these systems, they all end up at the Gulf of Guinea. That is the sea. Yes. So basically, these are the major systems, the three major systems that we have. But we can put all of this together and call them maybe the surface water. Then we can look at the groundwater aspect of Ghana's system.
Okay.
Maybe as we are going forward, we can look at that one into details. But for now, these are the major systems that we have in Ghana, from which Jay Moore talked about the supply issues. So going forward, we'll be looking at more of these supply systems, either from the surface water or from the groundwater.
So I live at Teshi, right? You say, and I want to know, where does the water that comes into my house come from? Because we are just in the house, we wake up, we get water and all of that. But from all the places that you've mentioned, where does the water directly come from?
Yes, so from Teshi, as you have given a specific example, Teshi is in an urban community.
Okay.
And as Jimo said, they are being supplied water from the Ghana water. So for what I know, some years back, they did some seawater desalination plant at Teshi that are being served from. They also have the water supply from Pong, serving the people as well, Teshi. So Teshi is basically being supplied by Ghana water. And these are I think these are the major two sources they are getting water from: the pond system and then the seawater desalination plant. I'm not sure if the seawater desalination plant is still working or there are some challenges, but what I know is that these are the two sources that Teshi is getting their source from. So as I said, probably there are some individuals who are doing water supplies from groundwater, but we'll get to that stage as we move forward.
All right, that was very, very insightful. Jimo, do you have any other thing to add?
Yes. So we realize that Ghana water takes normally and mostly from these surface waters and the sea treat and then say, but for community water, they rely mostly on groundwater for their work. And then we also want to say that for the water distribution systems, sometimes individuals must know where their water is coming from. So some people take it upon themselves to have their own private boreholes in their homes. And because they know the source of that water, they are able to supply water to themselves. If they need to treat it before they use, they know. If there is no need for treatment too, they know. So aside the national or the formal system of water supply, individuals can also own their own water. But before you do that, I want to let you know that there are regulatory bodies like Water Resources Commission that give or outline rules that govern getting groundwater for your personal use. I also add that this community water and Ghana water are also regulated by both PURC and Water Resources Commission. Water Resources Commission regulates the technical aspects of the sourcing, whether you are drilling borehole or you are taking from a surface water source. Water Resources Commission makes sure that it is done the right way. Then PURC takes care of the tariff or the billing aspect, so that the water is treated to standard and quality, and then the bills that are given out are also acceptable. And then they also help in collecting bills so that the work that Ghana water and community water does becomes economically viable. So these are also, aside the distributors, regulators also in the system to ensure that the ecosystem work properly.
Wow. So from what you have both shared, it means that we don't just sit in our homes and then the water is just flowing. It comes from various places and is managed by other people and industries and companies and all of that. So I would ask again, so for all these bodies, how have they affected this water supply system in Ghana?
So I think when President Kufuor was elected in 2000, then somewhere around 2000, 2003, then community water was set up to also look at small communities and then the rural areas. So the work that is being done by Ghana Water, community water, and then to some extent individual people has shaped or has helped us to get water flowing in our homes regularly. Even though we have not achieved water supply in Ghana 100%, but I think where we are, we have made a lot of progress, and then we are going forward.
Yeah, that's very true. So Jimo, can you point out some of the policies of these bodies or these organizations?
There's a whole policy for the water sector, but normally we have acts. So various acts bring the various regulatory bodies. There is an act that created the Ghana Water Company. There's an act that brought community water to bear. There was an act that brought Water Resources Commission. Now, you realize that even if you go to historical antecedents, our water system started as Ghana Water Works.
Yes.
And then later it changed to Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation. And as, like Eddie said, we increase as a people, you realize that you now have to start managing waste. You now have to start managing a lot of things. Things are not like hunting and gathering. Those times when everything is fresh,
Yes.
there's pollution and all.
Yeah.
So that's where, as the things change, governors or people in authority also realize that we need to do this thing at this point in time to make sure that management is properly done and
Okay.
according to acceptable norms. So you realize that in framing some of these acts, World Bank and Co, they've all done money to the formulation of policy and then changing of act and regulations so that we can have a unified and reformed plan. I think currently Ghana Water, even as it is about two companies, Ghana Water Company and then Ghana Urban Water Supply, that are working together
As one body.
As one body.
Okay.
But so there are acts and policies that have put these things together. So it's just that it's a matter of development over the period, and I'm sure with time some of the things, it may either be merged or furtherly distributed or divided again.
Okay.
But I think that at this juncture, what I would advise is that aside all these bodies doing their work, every individual should be purposeful about the quality of the water they get in their homes. And I will always advocate that whichever source you are getting water from, try and test the water and try and make sure that purity is assured before you use it, because of how pollution through galamsey and things are ongoing. It's becoming a scary thing now.
Yeah.